Super Bowl's in the books, man. Um, I know it's not something we typically talk about as much on here, but we it said was it's the Super Bowl. Everybody watches it, parts of it at least, and yeah, man, I'll be honest, it was not the most exciting Super Bowl I've watched in recent years.
Yeah.
It definitely, and I say that I don't want to take away from Seattle though. By the way, that's why it wasn't exciting. I think it's how good Seattle's been this year. It kind of that defense, man, was nasty in this game. Um, you could tell the Patriots just couldn't. They just couldn't move the ball, man, most of the game. Drake May, I know he's probably going to catch a lot of heat from. I mean, he had a bad game, and he did get rattled. And there were sometimes he was missing those easy throws too. When he actually had time, but a lot of times you get in those moments and you're getting hit time after time, and everything's so quick. Especially the NFL, man. Everything's so fast in the NFL. So you got to, you probably felt rushed a lot of the times. So I feel for him, but man, I mean, he was sacked 6 times. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And I mean, dude, and it's so many times pressured too that it's like, that it's going to look bad on him stat wise. And he did. I mean, I watched the entire game. And he did have some bad plays. I mean, he got rattled. He's a young player, so I think that's unfortunate for him to have such a rough go in his first Super Bowl. I know he'd rather that went an opposite way in what it did. But it's hard for a young player, man, to come out and play a defense like that. Um, so it was like I said, wasn't the most interesting. But if you were a Seattle Seahawks fan, on the other hand, they played great. Defensive was great. Any thoughts that you have on it? I do have a few more things I'd talk about with it, but
No, I think from the very beginning you could tell it was going to be that type of game, a very defensive driven game. Even early on, I mean, obviously the outcome of the game didn't lean towards the Patriots' favor, but even the Patriots defense was playing pretty good there for a long time. But, we've said this in other episodes about, obviously we talk college ball, but you can translate this to any sport really. If you're leaning on your defense so heavy throughout the entire course of a game, and eventually, you're going to have to step up offensively and make something happen to give yourself a chance to win. And like you said, the Seahawks defense would just completely overpowered the entire game, against the Patriots. And you could tell, I think, like I said early on, that it was going to be that type of game. I mean, field goals only in the first half. Made for a boring game. I mean, let's just call it what it is. Made for somewhat of a boring game. As fans, we like to see the high scoring, crazy plays and big time throws down the field, big time runs, breaking tackles. I will say the running back for Seattle really impressed me. He ran hard. Even though there wasn't a ton of big time breakout plays, he consistently ran the ball well and looked really good running downfield. That's what I like to see in a running back, is someone that just runs downfield and does not stop chopping their feet. I was really impressed with his performance.
and I know you don't watch the NFL as much. Because of fantasy football, it makes me aware of a lot more of the NFL. I mean, I'm a Titans fan. Obviously, this year has been awful, so I've not been checked in the NFL too much. But I play fantasy football every year, and Kenneth Walker is one of those dudes, man. A lot of times when you get him on there, he's a solid player to have. He's healthy most of the time that I've noticed, anyways. And really good about the Super Bowl, man, is just how patient he was on some runs too. It was like, I mean, there were a lot of runs where it looked like it could be stopped in the backfield. He allowed the blocks to get there, but he didn't, it wasn't really like he was dancing around too much with it. He was just waiting for that moment, and then he would, like you said, uphill running. I mean, he had a great game. He had 135 yards. And yeah, and New England's defense, man, I mean, you got to think it was 29 to 13. One of those was a touchdown for pick six on Seattle, which pass was deflected, but it counted as a pick. Um, and so that's one of Seattle's touchdowns, man. And there was not a lot of touchdowns scored in this game. So,
No
um,
doubt.
throughout most. So definitely two solid defenses. Um, so I hate it for Vrabel. It was I had to pull for him, man. The Titans are crazy for ever getting rid of him. I think he's a great coach. And we ain't done anything since. So, that was definitely a bad decision on their part, or on the Titans' part. But yeah, one thing was funny in this game, man. I know they wouldn't. Obviously, Drake May's a young dude. He's your guy. You're not going to go
Yeah,
with somebody he's done good for you all season. So you're not going to bench your quarterback in the Super Bowl. But
right.
the Tennessee fan, the Vols fan in me couldn't help but just hope that Josh Dobbs got to go in, and at least during at least the fourth quarter when it was like, when it
Yeah.
looked a little bit out of reach, I was like, man, maybe give him like, what if like Drake May just needed a breather for a second and Josh Dobbs got in there and started doing something crazy, but all
He's
wishful
done it on
thinking,
other
but
stops in the NFL. I mean,
he has, man.
not in the Super Bowl, obviously, but
Uh,
yeah,
yeah, and
I'm
I
with you.
mean,
You can't bench a young player like that and
yeah,
destroy their confidence.
yeah, and I mean, of course, it's all about winning, but
Right.
I didn't think they would do that anyways. I mean, there was a stretch where I think New England went on 6 out of 7 drives, went three and out
Wow.
during
Yeah.
that. I
It
heard
was
that during the
bad, man.
game. Yeah.
Well,
So
in the
it was
first
dominant
half,
on
yeah,
Seattle, but
in the first half, it popped up and it showed the Patriots drive chart. Uh, of all the drives that they had, and I think it was five, six. I don't know how many possessions they had in the first half, but I think all of them resulted in a punt. Man, it was pretty bad, dude. I mean, they weren't getting the greatest of field position there in that first half. Multiple times they were starting deep in their own territory. But like you said, man, it's just a testament to Seattle's defense, really. It's all you can
oh yeah,
attribute it to.
yeah. I mean, first off, a shout out to Sam Darnold, dude. He's been on like on so many different teams in the
That's
NFL.
crazy, man.
So that is wild that um, he got him a Super Bowl ring, man, as a starting quarterback. And so I mean I'm glad to see him get one. He obviously have had a lot of diversity and he's had to face or adversity he's had to face, with um, his time in the NFL. But with with that being said, could this have been one of the easiest Super Bowl wins by a starting quarterback in a while? I mean, your defense was playing insane. Smith Walker was running the ball all over the place. Darnold had 202 yards and a touchdown, but he was 19 for 38.
Right. Yeah.
So, I mean, wasn't great. Wasn't great by any means. Um, I mean, like I said, he didn't have to be great in this game, but kudos, still getting that. Some other guys out there, that I know Cooper Kupp got another ring in school with, he played for the Rams at one point. I forgot that he played for the Seahawks, honestly, until I seen him pop up. But which just goes to show, man. I mean, when we say we're just fans of the game in general. When we,
Yeah.
and I pay a decent amount of attention to the NFL, but some of these things I just forget about, man, until I really start watching a game or something. Um, yeah, and I really don't. Or go ahead. Yes.
I was just gonna say I'll be the first to admit that I didn't watch a single NFL game all year. But it's different when the Super Bowl comes around. I mean, you've gotta watch that, right? I mean, it's a spectacle
Oh,
in
yeah.
its own right. I mean, from
Yeah.
the performances to the commercials to everything that the Super Bowl kind of stands for. I most people would agree that it's the biggest sporting event. In the world in the year. So I didn't even know, and I told you this, I think, before the game started. I said, dude, I didn't even know that Drake May was the quarterback for the Patriots. I watched his career in college. Was rooting for him when he played for UNC and stuff like that. When they got close to making a playoff run, I think, was it 22?
Can't
Might
remember
have
the
been
year
20.
exactly on this. Yeah.
It was 22 or 23. I don't know. But, it's when UNC had a pretty decent team and they were kind of fighting for a opportunity to potentially make it to a playoff spot or something like that. But anyway, it shocked me that he was getting ready to play in a Super Bowl. Um, but yeah, it was really cool, man. Even though he didn't have the game
Yeah.
that, he needed to
Yeah.
have or anything like that.
Yeah, yeah, and anybody watching Adam's not lying, man. It shocked me when you sent me that text that you didn't know, and I was like, dang, he really doesn't watch the NFL. But and I think for you it's just a preference, ain't it? Like you focus on college football, and that's what you enjoy, and just because
Yeah.
I watch both. College football is my main thing, so any NFL content that probably rolls through this podcast is mostly probably going to come from me. But I
I'll
do watch
probably have
both
to
of them,
start
but
tapping into it a little bit more, man, you know.
because
Because
I
I
haven't even asked.
almost didn't want to I almost didn't want to admit that I didn't know that.
I know, I get it. I mean, the thing is, though, but on the flip side of that, you know a ton about college football. So, and I've kept up with that all season. Um, but yeah, I guess sports thing, talking football, it's going to come up here and there.
Yeah.
But I just thought that do you have an NFL team or someone that you would say you pull for?
So whenever I was growing up, me and my dad were huge Green Bay Packer fans, and that was when Brett Favre played for the Packers. So back during that time, I really, really, really loved watching the Green Bay and watching Brett Favre. And then when
Wow.
I got a little bit older, I ended up liking the Atlanta Falcons just because of Michael Vick.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, and then, it seems like along the way I've kind of like fallen in love with players per se, not necessarily the
yeah,
game or the teams. But yeah, I would say just along the way I fell in love with different players. I mean, even dating back to like the Buccaneers with Warwick Dunn and
yeah.
yeah, I mean, that's taking it back pretty far, man. I know I'm going back pretty far, but just watching those guys play, I mean, obviously like Ray Lewis. I remember when Brian Urlacher was on the Bears. I mean, it was just certain players that I liked
Oh yeah.
growing up, but I never really pledged allegiance to a specific team per se. If I have to say that I followed a certain team for any length of time, it was probably Green Bay with Brett Favre, and then obviously Peyton with the Colts. Obviously I tuned into that quite a bit. I think I had a Peyton jersey. I had an Indianapolis Colts hat at one point. Um, yeah, but I've never, like I said, I've never really die hard. Like we are with Tennessee in college football. I've never
Yeah.
felt that way about a specific NFL team. Kind of bounced around just because of certain players that I like.
Dude, honestly, it's cool, man. As a Titans fan, I would tell you if you can continue to do that, go ahead and continue to do that.
Yeah.
Because your team, you know how. I mean, you're a Tennessee, you're a Vols fan, so you know how
Oh
it is when you're
gosh.
so dialed in on a team, man. So I think that could maybe make the NFL more enjoyable for you, honestly.
Mm,
I know you don't really do the fantasy football thing, but dude, fantasy football is primarily following players.
yeah.
So I could see that. I'm just something I was throwing out there. You ain't got to obviously take that for what you'd like, but I can see you enjoying that a little bit just because it is just players of different teams. You're not really so focused. Then you'll
Yeah.
find yourself there rooting for your players that you got on your team. So, um, but no, I think that can make it kind of fun, honestly. Just not having it as serious. You can kind of relax a little more about it, and obviously then having to go through the heartbreaks that having your diehard favorite team let you down. But yeah, that's cool, man. I just we had never really talked about that, and I was like, I wonder if what your team would be if you had to pick
Dude,
one. So
something funny to think about. How many other podcasts mentioned the name Warwick Dunn in their 2025 Super Bowl post game?
probably not a lot of them out there,
Brian
but
Urlacher.
it is here on the fourth and whatever.
That's
I,
hilarious to think about, man.
that is funny, man. Yeah, like I doubt there's probably a very small list on that.
Oh yeah,
Um, but yeah, man, and that's what you can tell. Like it sounds like you kind of got out of it at points where like you some of the older players that you watched, but hey, you never know. Might get back into the groove of it. Who knows?
yep. A
But
quarterback that I really like. I think I've said it on the pod before. I really like C.J. Stroud for Houston.
yeah,
I,
yeah, I
I
do like
hope
CJ
that
Stroud.
I hope he has a good career. It'd be kind of cool to see them have some success. I know he found some success his first year
Yeah,
with them. Did they not make the playoffs his first year? I'm pretty
I
sure
think
they
they
did.
did his first year. Yeah, this year he had kind of a rough go, especially towards the end of the season.
Yeah.
He wasn't playing very well, so hopefully he can bounce back from that next year. Because you know how the NFL is, if you're not solidified yourself in as that
Yeah.
main guy for a team, man, you might find yourself on another team before you know it. But hopefully, he can dial that in. Because I do like C.J. Stroud. One of the things I was hoping would have happened this year, was kind of random, but this was my matchup that I was really hoping for this year was going to be the Buffalo Bills and the Chicago Bears.
Yep.
Um,
I remember you saying that.
yeah, I like Buffalo some just because I think they were just bad for so long. It's kind of for a while, so it's cool to see them be good again. And I like Josh Allen quite a bit.
Yep.
Um,
That
and then the
franchise
Bear,
type of quarterback, man.
yeah, for sure, man. And I will say he's got to have to get that playoff. He's gonna have to get that Super Bowl, I think, under his belt, man, because someone's gonna, or not that the Bills fans are gonna, I don't think, turn on him, but it's kind of one of those things. He just went through some heartbreakers, man, in the playoffs. The with the Bears, who's a lot of my family, some of my family's from Chicago, so they've always kind of pulled for the Bears. So that's just always kind of been a team outside of the Titans that I like to
That's
root
cool.
for. Finally, good to see them have a good season this year. So yeah, I was kind of hoping for that, but kind of how it goes on there. But one one thing I wanted to bring up to you about the Super Bowl, man, being over, and I kind of get this every year, especially where I do watch the NFL too, because a lot of times I'll kind of watch the NFL throughout the season as well. Follow college football really hard, and then Sunday's like my still my football day. I can still kind of watch some games, and it's always on. Um, but when the Super Bowl's over, man, there's a sad thing to that, and that means that there is not any more football being played until August of this year. And that always kind of hits me a little bit when the Super Bowl's over because
Yeah.
college football does that to an extent, and then like when the Super Bowl's over with, I'm like, okay, now there's no football because
Yeah.
I still tune in and watch the playoffs and tune in and watch games as the college football season gets towards the end, but it definitely does. It's in that sucky part of the year where there's no football going on. I think the next thing I'll look forward to is March Madness. I do enjoy some March Madness for sure,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Yeah,
just
The Super Bowl being played and ending is symbolic. It's like the exclamation point for the entire sport. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Not necessarily just the NFL, obviously, but for the entire sport, man. Like you said, there's a big gap right there where you're footballless. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Because even if you
uh,
don't follow the NFL too strongly, you still got some football you can watch. If you just like, man, I just want to watch a football game, you can flip it on the TV on Sundays and catch a game, or if you didn't get enough of it on Saturdays, you can always flip it on and catch it. But it's that weird time of the year where it kind of puts us it's kind of the staple there at the end. It's like, okay, for the season, it's done until the next one, and it's that realization that you ain't got football for a while.
Dude, and it just seems like it takes forever for it to get back. I mean,
But yeah,
I know how I feel as a Tennessee fan, as a college football fan. I can only imagine, especially say the Seahawks or the Patriots. Imagine those fan bases, especially the Patriots, I guess, after losing the Super Bowl. Imagine how long it must feel for those fan bases, man. It's like, gosh, another grueling off season. Didn't get the job done again. And I'm sure that, and you can probably speak to this better than I can, Mike, but I'm sure that there were, aside from these two teams that actually made it to the Super Bowl, I'm sure that there were some other teams that were highly favored to make it and win the Super Bowl. Who are some of those teams, Mike, that was just an absolute disappointment, man, that everyone kind of thought throughout the year, okay, this is going to be the team to beat. This is going to be the team to make it.
well, I think that the Bills were a team that probably had that expectation, to get
Gotcha.
so far. Now the way the seasons went, Seattle was definitely. I mean, they lost 3 games during the season, so they finished with I guess it would have been 14-3, and then they finished 17-3 overall. So they were a team that did succeed how they were supposed to. Um, the Bills, as far as I know, would have been one. who else? I'd have to about look at these playoffs to see because I know there were a couple. I will say too, I feel like this year, man, the Ravens were a team that was a real letdown. Their kicker missed a field goal
Mm,
that knocked them out of getting in the playoffs.
yeah.
And that was a team that shouldn't have even been that close. That that people would have probably thought was just going to be in the playoffs. So I would put the Ravens up there as a real disappointing season, man, to not even make the playoffs, and probably a team that early on what could have been considered up there. Obviously, another team that's just because they're there all the time is the Chiefs. They didn't make the playoffs, so that's a team that's going to be be considered a real disappointment to not even make the playoffs as well.
Yeah. I'm sitting here looking at, I guess, the records of each team, Mike. Jacksonville apparently had a good season, 13-4. I would imagine they probably had some sort of favoritism to make it all the way. I don't know that to be certain.
They,
And
they
I
were
guess the
probably,
teams that lost the semifinal game, those teams probably thought they had a fair shot. Um,
yeah. I've got some interesting thing here for you. I just kind of quickly looked up, so I don't know how accurate it is, um, and go back one thing too. Jacksonville, they were good. They definitely had a. I feel like Jacksonville probably had a better season than they would have expected, if that makes sense.
yeah,
So it's
that's
like
cool.
even if they wouldn't have made that, they were probably just hopped off of just having a pretty good season. The top Super Bowl for early preseason of 2026. I'm assuming this would have been. Let's see. Okay, no, this is giving it for net going into next year. Um,
Okay.
After this, the Seattle Seahawks are up there. The Los Angeles Rams and the Seattle Seahawks are tied actually, plus 950. The Rams were really good this year. Dude, Matt Stafford won MVP, and he's still, I mean, he's a veteran and he's playing great.
Yeah.
Um, the Buffalo Bills, third on there, and then tied for fourth would be Philadelphia and Baltimore and New England actually. Um, but give you an example, Baltimore already there having the expectation again for next year as a
Yeah.
team that that just kind of shows you probably the letdown. I am
Well,
curious
I
about
mean,
that 2025 now. I don't want to sit here and just look
yeah.
up stats, but
No, you're good, man. But talking about Baltimore real quick, anytime you have a quarterback like Lamar Jackson with the hype around him and his skill set and stuff like that, just like what you're talking about with Buffalo and having a quarterback like Josh Allen and stuff like that, when you have these types of players on your team, dude, as a fan base, a franchise, the GM, the owners, all of it, they expect hardware, brother. They expect trophies. And
yeah,
anytime you don't get to that level or get to that point and get over that hump, it is a letdown. And that's any sport, man.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, looking at it, obviously, two couple teams I mentioned, Kansas City, the Ravens, Eagles are a team I forgot about that. A stacked team that really kind of let down this year after winning, the Super Bowl last year. And that tends to happen, I feel like sometimes though too. It's real hard in the NFL to be right back in it. Um, San Francisco 49ers, I wouldn't consider them a letdown because they got in the playoffs. Um, I think they played in the NFC Championship game, so they got, pretty far. Um, but when you got like, I know the Eagles let down, but when you got the Chiefs and the Ravens are two big ones I can think of, man. Um, and Buffalo, their letdown was just the same one they've been having, and that's getting to the playoffs and not being able to get the job done. Um, and that, unfortunately, that's like their whether it's crazy, man, because sometimes, Josh Allen has had moments where I mean, he had the moment where he set Buffalo up to win it, scored with 13 seconds left, up by three. Kansas City gets it down the field in 13 seconds. It kicks a field goal, sends it to overtime. Then get the ball first and go down and score a touchdown. Josh Allen doesn't even get to touch the ball again. Now that's the type of heartbreakers he's had to see, which is like, I mean, what do you do, man? If you scored to take your team up by three with 13 seconds left in the game, would you not feel like you did enough right there? And
Yeah.
it's just wild that the top of the losses that he's had to endure as well. So
Something you said there about the Philadelphia Eagles, real quick, being last year's Super Bowl champions. Oftentimes, it's so hard to climb that mountain again. You know what I'm saying? I do know this stat line in the history of the NFL. There's only been 8 teams that have ever won back-to-back Super Bowls, man. So, and we're talking about the history of the entire sport. Only 8 teams have ever accomplished that, going back to back in the Super Bowl. So, any team that finds success, that's like, for instance, even though they're probably going to be favored because they won it this year, and they're probably still going to be a good team next year, Seattle is going to be facing a monumental task next
Yeah.
season. Just like all great teams do. If you win a ring, man, it's hard to
Yeah.
climb that mountain again.
Yeah, man. There's only when they start doing that multiple times, that's when you start hearing the dynasty word thrown out
Yep,
there.
yep.
The Patriots on the Chiefs, man. Whether I know maybe they're on the downhill side of it now, but whether people want to admit it or not, they were a
Yeah,
small dynasty there for a minute. I
one
mean, they were
thousand
winning.
percent.
Patrick Mahomes has is it 3 Super Bowls and been in 5. So I mean that
Yeah,
they were
and he,
that back to back to back.
yep, yep, yep.
So
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who would try to deny that other
yeah,
than just hating on them. You know what I mean?
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
And
I'm not a
you
fan,
get
but
that.
I'm
So,
not gonna say they weren't a
yeah,
dynasty. That's all you heard about. That's all you saw. I mean, players have blown up just from being on those teams and being in commercials and everything. I mean, it's
yeah.
undeniable, really.
Well, they had been in the AFC Championship. I want to say it was like I don't know how many, maybe 6 years in a row, 7. I can't remember how many it was in a row. Um,
Yeah,
Patrick Mahomes has played in the AFC Championship game more than he's not in his career.
that's
So,
wild. That's
yeah,
wild.
yeah. So, and it ain't. I don't even think it's close. But yeah, that's crazy, man. To do what
Hey,
they've done on.
shout out Andy Reid, man.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. It's a good coach, man. But yeah, this might not be like the football talk of it now, but there is something else big about the Super Bowl, man. I think you got to bring up, and everybody's
Oh
got to
yeah,
watch everybody's watching the commercials, man.
oh yeah,
Super Bowl
without a doubt,
commercials.
dude.
Um,
Without a doubt.
so I don't know if you've got a favorite one that you'd like to talk about from this one, or maybe a couple. I don't know. Is
Yeah,
there a
I've
commercial
got
that
three
stood
or
out to you?
well, I've got 3 or 4 commercials that I have written down here. There's one thing I do want to mention as far as just in general for the commercials, and it was how insane it was to see. I can't even count how many there were.
Yeah,
Commercials about different AI platforms and different AI like apps and websites and stuff. Like the amount of AI stuff that was on the Super Bowl commercials is insane. And it's not really surprising. I mean, given where
yeah,
we are now as a society and the technological advances that we're making so rapidly. But dude, it was so wild. But then I thought of a really cool one-liner to use in the pod tonight, and I've been thinking about it all day. In my opinion, overall, if you just look at all the commercials overall, I think it was a letdown. There weren't really that many great commercials, memorable commercials to choose from, in my opinion. So I thought about this. If there were so many AI commercials kind of like, advertising a new AI platform or a new AI website or app or whatever, why didn't they, instead of having that many commercials about AI platforms and websites, why not use that particular AI platform or website to create the greatest Super Bowl commercial ever using
yeah,
AI?
yeah,
You know what I'm saying,
yeah.
dude?
That's a
Don't
thought.
tell me you got AI, bro. Use it.
Yeah,
Use it and
yeah,
give me an incredible killer commercial, man. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. Do something cool with it, man. Make Super Bowl commercials. You got to bring it, man. It's got to be funny. I expect funny
Exactly.
commercials. I expect cool commercials. Either it's going to be funny, it's got to be really cool visually, or
Hmm.
it's got to be heartfelt. Those are the
Yep.
three examples of I think what a Super Bowl commercial needs to be, and so you got to
Hmm.
bring it with those, man.
Yep.
I I did have one that's interesting, and
Okay.
I feel like it's almost like shots fired here for a Pepsi to use the polar bears in their commercial, man.
Yes, bro. That was crazy.
That was wild. I seen that at first. I legitimately was. I wasn't like sitting there focused on it so much at the moment, and then I looked, and I was thinking like Coke in my mind, and I looked, and I was like, "Oh, it's a Pepsi commercial."
Yeah,
And
bro.
Tell me, Coke. Do you know Coke cannot like that right now that they were using
No,
the polar
hating
bears?
it, hating it,
Yeah,
hating it. But dude,
that
I
is
have that
wild.
one written down as well. I believe it. Yeah, it was a Pepsi commercial, and yeah, dude, watching those polar bears just sipping on some Pepsi was kind of wild, bro. I loved it. My wife and I really got a kick out of that one,
Yeah.
and I was
Well,
inspired by that commercial today and bought a Pepsi Zero,
yeah. So
and
see,
drank
it
it
worked.
today. So, yep,
It
shout
worked.
out.
How many people have done that? So, I if you're Coca-Cola, you got to come back out with the polar bears or something now, man. I don't know what you got to do,
Yeah,
but
you got to
you
do
got to
something.
you got to reclaim those if you're Coca-Cola, because it's such a classic, Coca-Cola mascot. So for Pepsi to use that was wild. It didn't like hit me at first until like I really thought it, and I was like, oh shoot, yeah.
Yeah, it was cool, dude. Whoever came up with that concept deserves a major raise. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. I guess the only other one I really like stood out that I thought was just cool was Budweiser came out with a. I
Yes,
thought this
bro.
commercial was cool, man. The eagle and the horse and like having it
Yes,
from like you seeing the life of this little eagle growing up with this
yes,
horse and
man.
I was just like, dude, they're known for coming out with good ones for the most part. They've had it. I feel like the last couple of years have been a little bit of let down from them. You've been waiting on that big one, and they came out with a really cool one. I thought this year. I just thought that was a really cool Budweiser commercial.
Dude, I'm not kidding you, Mike. I swear I have it written down right here.
Yeah.
Budweiser. That
Hey man,
commercial, bro. I mean, it
two of
was
the biggest
undeniable.
ones. Yeah.
Yeah, it was an undeniable commercial, like you said. It had a little bit of everything. It had a little bit of everything and what you want out of a Super Bowl commercial. If you think about it, you said they either need to be funny, visually cool, or a little heartfelt, little tearjerker aspect. You know, when you first see that little eagle fall over in the rain and stuff, you're like, oh gosh, what's going to happen to this poor bird? I didn't know it was an eagle at first. I'm not going to lie. I've never seen a baby eagle. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Oh
Um,
yeah.
but what was cool about it too is if you notice the Clydesdale, the horse, you watched it grow up too. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah.
And then at the
Yeah.
end of it, I wasn't expecting the wings. It was like a silhouette of the eagle wings. I wasn't ex Oh yeah, and that music hit, bro. That was a really cool commercial. And that Budweiser can looks really cool too. I noticed it had a 150th anniversary or something on the can.
Oh yeah.
Definitely won't be drinking that, but I can't stand that stuff.
Yeah. It's not my
Shout out to
go-to
the
for
com
sure.
Yeah, shout out to the commercial though, man. The commercial was really cool.
Commercial almost made me want to buy one.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. You're right. It was good enough to make you at least go buy one. I'll give you
Yeah.
that. Uh, Between that and the Polar Bear Pepsi commercial, those are by far the best. And I'd have a hard time picking which one was better. I'd probably lean more towards the Budweiser one just because of how cool it
So
was. But
yeah.
dude, that hard punch in the face to Coca-Cola by Pepsi, man, is very, very, very noteworthy as well. The only other thing, Mike, and I don't know if you caught this one because it was kind of a subtle commercial, but me being a Formula One racing fan, starting in 2026, and I wouldn't mind to bring this up on the pod from time to time when the season starts. The United States and Cadillac have their own Formula One team now, starting in 2026, and this has obviously been kind of like forever a European sport. Obviously the drivers and stuff can come from just about anywhere, but it's mainly Europe. And all the teams like, Ferrari, McLaren, and all these teams, Aston Martin, they all come from Europe pretty much. But this year, starting in 2026, for the first time, the United States will have their own Formula One team in Cadillac. It's a groundbreaking moment for motorsports. Really, really cool. And it's so wild because over the past month or so, all the teams have been slowly like revealing their cars for 2026. They do
Mhm.
this every year. Every year they'll have a new paint scheme and all that stuff. And
Yeah.
Cadillac, being Cadillac and being the American team and all that, used the Super Bowl as their platform to reveal their car for 2026. I
Yeah.
don't know if you caught that commercial, but dude, it is
It looks
really,
cool,
really
man.
cool. Their car looks super cool. When I do the edit, I'll probably post the car or something, a picture of it. But super
Yeah.
cool. Kind of as a fan of that sport and that world, I'll be excited to see how they do this year. Going to be rooting for the home team, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand, man. That's cool though. I didn't catch that one, so I'll be cool. That'll be cool to see. Obviously I didn't catch every commercial, but that was one I didn't. I feel like that was still. I'm not as big of, I know you're in the Formula One and stuff, but I'm not as big of a car guy. But I'm still a big car fan though in general.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I would have probably definitely noticed it had I seen that one. So
yeah.
that'll be
To
cool.
use
I'll
the
have to check that out.
Yeah, to use that big of a platform to reveal their car was pretty cool because, I mean, all the other teams just kind of did like a live stream of some event that they held in their headquarters, and it was only on their YouTube page and all that stuff. But freaking Cadillac, being the newest kid on the block in that world, used the Super Bowl, you know what I'm saying, to reveal their car. So that's super cool. And something else really funny, real quick, and then we can jump into whatever, or even jump out of here. But something funny that I wanted to bring up about the Super Bowl and F1, and this really has no meaning or no bearing to anything we've talked about, but it's just something funny and something to kind of think about. So there's a driver in Formula One. His name's Lewis Hamilton. He's some revere him as the GOAT, some revere him as the greatest of all time. He's a seven-time world champion. I mean, he's really, really, really good. Um, he's a little older now, though, and probably on the tail end of his career, but nonetheless, he's still in the sport. So he used to drive for Mercedes, and last year, and was his first year on a new team in quite some time, and he drives for Ferrari now.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna full circle this moment. So he was at the Super Bowl. Okay, he was at the Super Bowl in the stands, whatever. And the person that he went to the Super Bowl with and sat next to is probably the most detrimental person that you want to see any of your favorite athletes sitting next to, or any of your favorite musical artists sitting next to, or being associated with in any capacity. This man, and a lot of people are probably going to be scared for him, or praying that he doesn't spiral out of control. Lewis Hamilton went to the Super Bowl with Kim Kardashian, man.
Oh
You know
shoot.
what I'm saying,
Yeah.
bro? And like, you can look
Look
at
out.
history, man. You know what I'm saying, bro? You can look at history, and history tells you that any man she gets with most likely goes downhill after that, bro. So I know a lot of Formula One fans are praying that Lewis can break away from that chain,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah. It,
I
may,
I thought that would be a funny bit to
yeah.
bring up, man.
Yeah. Maybe she just happens to go for some of the crazy guys and it gets exposed. Who knows? But
I don't
there's
know, dude.
there's a common thing that happens.
That would be too much of a coincidence.
Yeah, I
But
know. I'm just kidding.
something else that's kind of crazy regarding him. In 2014, the Super Bowl champions were the Seattle Seahawks. Russell Wilson was the quarterback in 2014. Also in 2014, Lewis Hamilton was in his second year of a new team. So at that time, he was with Mercedes for the second year, and he
Mhm.
won the drivers' championship that year. Flash forward to 2026, Lewis Hamilton is on his new team for the second year. The Seahawks won the Super Bowl. A lot of people in that world are just kind of drawing all those parallels and saying this is
Yeah,
his year. But they didn't have Kim Kardashian in their bingo card, man.
that might that could be the factor there that it's going to be different from the previous. We'll uh, we'll see how that goes.
Oh man,
I, but it
my
is
boy
it is
Kanye
odd.
ain't been the same since, bro. My
No,
boy Kanye ain't been the same since.
no man.
Oh,
It is kind of wild to see though the coincidence of that, like him being, how things line up, and they
yeah,
do
dude,
that
it's
all the
weird.
time in sports, man. And sometimes it does pan out. It's pretty crazy, but
Yeah.
you know,
Um, Something else that caught me, didn't catch me off guard, but it just really made me think about it when you said it. We started talking about the difference in play and the caliber and the level of play in the NFL. And you said where you've watched college football heavy all year this year and hadn't really paid as much attention as you usually do to the NFL this year. When you tuned in and really focused in on these playoffs, for instance, and this Super Bowl, for instance, you were quickly reminded of that, you are watching true professionals on the field. The level of play is just so much. I mean, you said it just stuck out to you like a sore thumb, man. I mean, it is wild to see like that level of play.
Yeah, dude, a prime example, man, which I know we were watching two great defenses in the Super Bowl. Uh, it's just, a lot of times in college you see a receiver catch a ball out in the flat somewhere or across the middle, and there's just a lot of there's some room to work with, or you might have one guy. Dude, in the NFL, it's like when you catch the ball, you better be ready because there's two or three guys on it. Just, I mean, it's like that, man. And so that was just something that stuck out to me is just how quick these guys are to, they're breaking on the routes, they're making the right moves, they're making, on the flip side of things, you see offensive player making stuff that would honestly be crazy, on the college level to see happen. And I think that's why there is such an adjustment from college to the pro level, and people don't realize that. You always have heard the joke of like one of these great college teams that come through and take the NFL's worst team, like there for a while. I used to hear things about how Bama could probably beat the Cleveland Browns, stuff like that. And it is funny to joke about because it does appear that way when you're watching sports. But the truth is, man, it wouldn't even be close. The best college football team and the worst NFL team, it's not even going to be a close game. It's not a knock on college, man. It's just
No,
at
no.
that level, what they've got, what they train for, and everything. It's wild to see. That and maybe that'll blend a little more as the guys start staying in college longer, getting paid NIL money, but who knows? But it
It won't
it's
blend
pretty.
that much, I wouldn't
It won't blend
imagine.
that much. No.
No, and it was crazy when you said that because I instantly knew that the stat line was crazy, but I wanted to look up the specific numbers. And dude, it's so easy to forget that just because you play college football and you win national championships and you made it to college on a 4-year scholarship or whatever the case may be, dude, that does not mean that you're going to make it to the NFL. As a matter of fact, only 1.5 to 1.6% of all college football players even make it to the NFL. That's like one or two out of every 100 players. I think I saw something that said there's roughly just shy of like 18,000 players total in college football. That's across all divisions, all league, whatever. There's roughly 18,000 players that play college football. Every year in the draft, only like 250, 300 get drafted. Does that sound about right? It's something like that.
Yeah, I mean
Um,
it's very you got to be very limited, man, because I mean, yeah, there's a lot of colleges, and then you get narrowed down a little bit when it comes to NFL, and it's crazy, man. Too, people are just trying to make. Sometimes people are making practice squads, trying to get on the roster, getting cut from the roster during the off season, getting cut. I mean, it the margin for error is so small for those guys that are really trying to make it into the NFL. You know, even in your top draft, I mean, round one draft picks. I would like to see how many of those actually pan out sometimes, man.
yeah,
It's just
dude, the
a
success rate's
different
not
game.
high.
No. And I've seen, I mean, how many times have we seen a quarterback taken, early, top five, and next thing you know, you don't always hear about them. Which is funny because sometimes those guys that come out that are taken later rounds, perfect example, certain guy that played for New England, Tom Brady, taken in the fifth round, comes,
Yeah, dude,
starts to shine.
crazy.
So it can be on the flip side of that, but it just doesn't always. People adjust differently in the NFL, and because I mean, I guess for athletically overall, a guy in their prime is probably going to be what that 26 age range, 25, 26, something like that maybe. Most guys in college aren't making it to that age while they're in college. It does happen, obviously. We've seen it from time to time. We've seen it in Tennessee. Typically, when you start getting into that age range, there's just a different level. And they've got I mean, man, once you do make it, and you get on the team, and then the trainings, the facilities, I'm sure have the money that's involved that these teams have, and it can take it to that next level, physically for players too. So, um, but and it's the game's quicker too. I mean, I feel like the quarterbacks making decisions back there, man. It's like, I mean, it is everybody out there is a everybody out there was a great college, or not a great college player. Like I said, we have those that just really kind of shined later on, but everybody out there is a star when they're starting on defense, and they're a great player
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
football. Even though you might have guys that might not be as great of an NFL player as others when you're comparing to the NFL level, but they're all great at football. So when you're out there trying to play, and I mean, not that in college probably you could say they're obviously good at football, but you
Yeah.
may run into teams that have the talent level's not even close. Uh, in the NFL, even when you're playing a bad team, the talent level's still insane.
Yeah. Yeah. You're exactly right. And it's so cliche to say it, but it's so true, man. It's the
Yeah,
cream of the crop, man. It's the cream of the
yeah,
crop.
it really is, man. So it's wild to think about. I just kind of forget that sometimes with NFL. And everybody, I mean, and everybody's got their opinions on what they like to. NFL is still the bigger viewed thing
Yeah.
overall. We live
Yeah.
in East Tennessee and in the Southeast and everything, in our area is really big on college football, and and so some areas, I would say even heavier college football in our area than it is in the NFL. But man, there's so many places in the United States and different places and areas that have, that NFL is their main thing. You know what I mean? So I try to think about that sometimes when people are like, I don't know, nobody, they'll act like college football's taken over as far as the sport to watch. I mean, college football's taken over maybe in your area, but like overall, the NFL is still the heaviest viewed out of the two. Not saying that I like the NFL better by any means or anything, but I forget about that sometimes when I'm like thinking about the NFL and stuff and how big it truly is. But and
Yeah.
I
I
and I
mean,
guess like you know,
a perfect example of that in the South down here would be, I don't think it's much. I would say that it's actually true. I would say the Georgia Bulldogs are bigger popularity wise than the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, I think that's fair to say.
oh,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. No, well, I mean, yeah. Look, I mean, Georgia's the top dog, or not saying the top dog in college football overall, but they're top dog usually in the
Right,
SEC.
right.
They've been top dog in the college football world. They're up there in that top, and we're such huge college football fans in the area
Hmm.
that you're probably right. I mean,
Yeah,
not, the only way I guess is if Atlanta started all of a sudden, might like the Michael Vick days came back, or like Atlanta started
yeah.
winning Super Bowls or something, then you might be looking at something different. But no, you're right because I feel like, and
Just from a
maybe I'm wrong.
regional standpoint.
Yeah, no, but I would say you're right, man. Just I don't know the stats on that or whatnot, um,
Well,
but yeah,
it's just I don't know that there are stats on it. That's just me saying that's just a gut feeling for me. But you could flip it and also say, well, obviously the New England Patriots are bigger than whoever up there. You know what I mean? Like it's just like you said to start that whole segment. It's a regional thing.
it is. Yeah, it really is, man. So just real random, I had to look it up just to be sure, but
No doubt, bro.
in this is just a little quick thing I found. It just says in Atlanta television market, Georgia Bulldogs football often draws higher or comparable viewership to the Atlanta Falcons. So that right there, just the fact that it's comparable, because it's pretty wild. Because the NFL generally is more popular overall. So I was wondering if it broke down, if it would act, because it feels that way, and it's because
Yeah,
it is kind of that way. I mean, they're
yeah,
comparable, or sometimes their bigger games are more than just a regular. I'd say Georgia playing Bama is probably going to get more viewership on that Saturday than Atlanta playing somebody that's not even in their conference or something. So when they're doing bad. So I would say that definitely is true. So no, I get it, man, and that. hey, college football's big in the South too. So
Yeah.
and that's definitely something that's turned true over the years.
North though, man, like obviously you've got I mean Green Bay, well then you've got all those teams up there that are in college football that are big schools, but Green Bay, dude, is like you're not outdoing Green Bay. You know what I mean? That
Yeah.
is the
Oh
team
yeah.
in that area. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's definitely interesting to think about it from that aspect. But I think what I'm gonna do, man, next year, I'm probably gonna start tapping in a little bit more to the NFL, dude. Definitely need to start getting back into it a little bit.
Yeah, just kind of get that. I will say it's cool to have because you used to get a lot more football,
Yep.
and and it is something to kind of to break down sometime and appreciate when you really start like watching it again. And yeah, I get like college football players are it's like they're playing for they feel like passion or trying to get in the NFL, and I like the atmosphere, the band, college students
Oh
that
yeah.
the
Oh yeah.
NFL doesn't necessarily, or like the student section getting crazy and all that, and then the band you don't necessarily get that in the NFL, but NFL players, man, I've went to games in the NFL and they're there for business,
Oh
and
yeah.
they're there to play the game still, so um, it is pretty wild to watch. Like, yeah, they are making a lot of money, and that is their job, but yeah, they're showing up to perform. So it definitely is kind of cool to see that aspect too. It's still football, just a little different than how the college level I feel like is. Well, man, I think this has been a pretty good one, man. It's just fun
Yeah.
to sit and talk about it. Going forward, we're probably not going to be able to have as much football as on this podcast, but we definitely have a lot of topics we're gonna continue to talk about. That's why we got the whatever side to it. So if you're watching this, thanks again. Make sure to like and subscribe. It helps us out. And look for some out there topics we're gonna have during the off season. So it'll be a lot of random stuff. So make sure to follow us and if you're interested in what we got to say and what we're going to talk about.
Yeah. And if you've got anything you would like for us to talk about or anything like that, just drop it down in the comments. Don't forget to check us out on Spotify as well. We did just launch that at the beginning of this year. I think the last 3 episodes are on there, and this one will be on there as well. So if you're just a listener and you don't have the time to sit down on YouTube and watch 45 minute to an hour long episode, but you got that car ride in the mornings and in the evenings, pop us on Spotify and check us out. And we appreciate all the support.
Absolutely. Well, Adam, dude, as always, it's been fun, man, and I'll see you.
All right, man. Take care, Brett.